Okay, all right, here is a question from Anne. Anne said, Tabitha, how are you? Doing okay, thanks. Thanks for asking, Anne. I'd love to know whether there are any aspects of eating disorder recovery or pieces of advice you used to give that in that area which you have changed your opinion on over the years, which you've been working in that field. Yes, bet there are. So when I first started when I first started blogging about my recovery, because that's how it all started. A while after I recovered, I was working a boring marketing job actually, and I started writing blogs whilst I was at work. That's how boring it was. And I was actually quite good at that job. I get all my work done and still have time to write blogs, so it's not like I was completely skiving, but that's just the honest truth. I was doing it while I was at work because I was bored. Anyway, so I started writing blogs. Didn't think anyone would ever read them, and people did start reading blogs. And then I started to get more into the sort of recovery advocacy. On social media, I started to talk to people, connect with people, and I was still new to the field. And now I'd recovered on my own, yeah. And first of all, I was nervous. I was quite nervous about saying that. And when I did start to say it, when I did start to put it out there that I'd recovered without any professional help, I got a ton of criticism. So, my first couple of blogs I put out there, and I was just being honest about how I recovered. And then I got a ton of criticism from therapists and people, and people told me that what I was doing was irresponsible, and would not be helping people in recovery if I said things like I recovered on my own, because that means that they wouldn't go and see a professional and things like that. And I was kind of like, oh shit, I'm sorry. And so I didn't stop writing blogs, but I did tailor what I was writing more so that it wasn't necessarily exactly what I thought, but it was more in line with what therapists and more traditional treatment said was okay. I'm trying to think of an example. Oh, yeah, fucking great example. So the one thing that I really got attacked on was writing about binging. Because, so I was in recovery completely on my own. There were no recovery blogs when I started recovery. And I was just honest, and I wrote about how much I binged. And then I got so much response from people being like, and you can't say things like that, you're going to turn people into binge eaters, binging is not a part of recovery, binging is a disorder. And I was like, oh shit, sorry. And then so I think for the first year or so I was like, oh yeah, you should try not to binge. I know I probably wrote something along those lines. Like, I think I said something like, I binged myself in recovery, but I now know that that's not healthy and people shouldn't try and do that. I think I've gone back. I think I wrote that in one of my first blogs, and I think I've probably gone back and changed it. To be more honest now, I might have edited it to say, oh, by the way, that's not what I really think. Because it's not. But so because I got a ton of criticism from people, I was really not completely, I was trying to do what I thought was then the right thing. If you're being told, oh, you don't know fuck all about people's recovery, and you just did this thing on your own, and that's irresponsible to go out there and tell people that you didn't work with a therapist and that you binged. And at the time I was like, oh shit, yeah, maybe I'm being irresponsible. Now, since then, obviously, given fewer fucks about what therapists think, and that confidence comes with having worked with, at this point, thousands of people in recovery. And it was when I started working with other people, talking to other people, I was like, hang on a minute, all these people binged as well. It wasn't just me. And all these people, people binging is a part of recovery, and that's how I developed all of that. Like, the things that I say, such as binging is an important part of recovery, I didn't just pull that out of my arse. It's something that I did myself, yes. But then I put years and years and years at this point of thought into it, researching into it, looking at the biology, and working with a ton of other people through their recoveries to come to that firm conclusion that I now have, that binging for the majority of us is a very important part of recovery. But it has taken years for me to get to the point where I am confident enough in what I'm saying that even if some therapist comes up to me and says, well, that's irresponsible for you to say that, I'll just be like, sue me. Please don't sue me. God, that would be boring. But there's other stuff too. I know the weighing thing. I used to have a bit more on the fence view of people weighing themselves in recovery. And I had that view because I did weigh myself, and every time I put on weight, I was like so happy about that. So I knew that I did actually use the scales as a real motivator for me. But I also didn't have body dysmorphia, or I always hated being thin anyway. So I think that for me, that was maybe a bit different from the majority of people. But all of that aside, what I have now understand is that actually, from a neural rewiring perspective, what we want to do is we need to teach the brain that your weight is unimportant. And you can't teach your brain that something's unimportant whilst you're looking at that thing. So you can't teach your brain that the number on the scale is unimportant whilst you are getting on the scale. And so that's actually, I've definitely reversed my thoughts on weighing yourself during recovery. Even if you're completely convinced that you're weighing yourself because you want to gain weight and that's motivating to you, I would still say don't do it, because we're trying to teach your brain that that number is unimportant, because it is unimportant. So I've definitely gone back on that one. But I'd say that, I I've never said that weighing yourself in recovery is necessarily a good thing. I was just more a bit on the fence of it, and I was more like, okay, well, if you can weigh yourself and it's a motivator for you, then maybe that's not so bad. But now I'd be like, no, don't weigh yourself at all. So that's definitely something. There's probably other things as well, but most of it is in that category of what I said before, that when I first started writing and talking about recovery, I was jumped on by a load of people because I was directly threatening the traditional view of recovery, and I was told that was going to be, I was just told that that was an irresponsible thing to do and that I would harm people. And I took that seriously, as I think is important, and as I should have done at that time. But I sat there for a while and I thought about it for a while, and I stayed and I observed and I researched, and then I was able to, with confidence, say, actually, no, I do think that the traditional view is wrong on this, and this is what needs to change. So, hope that answers the question. Thanks, Anne. Bye.